So what you can expect from week 4. So today we're going to talk about what long-term assets are, because this week is all about how to basically, start building out those assets for the long term. Yes, of course we want to start making money, and we want to start building our business as soon as possible. But on the flip side of that, we also need to have a long-term vision for our business. And we're actually going to talk about the importance of having a vision for our business on Friday. But really understand that, and I think we've used this analogy, when you look at your business over a long period of time, it's like the stock market. There might be little ups and downs when you look at it for a day or a week, but over time, it kind of goes up like this, or maybe more of a straight line, but you know what I mean. And that's if you're looking at it over the period of years, months, years, but if you're looking at it over the course of a day, you could be having ups and downs, a lot of money that you make this day, you make zero the next day, whatever it looks like. So I do want to kind of shift the focus from like tactical and practical things to understanding how to create long-term assets that are going to serve you now, but also going forward for years to come, and will eventually allow you to be a lot more hands-off with your business, because these kind of assets and systems are going to take a lot of the workload off of you and allow you to refocus your efforts where they're most important, where you can't automate them. We're going to talk about inbound versus outbound leads and how to nurture them. We did touch on that last week, but I kind of want to go a little bit more in depth with inbound versus outbound. Also want to go a little bit more into networking. I know that's like a hated word among a lot of people. I know that when I worked in corporate America, I hated networking. I hated the idea of it. I hated the word. It like gave me PTSD. But I think what's really cool about the thing about building an online business of your own, you're the boss. You get to determine who you network with, who you connect with, and you get to do it in meaningful ways where it's mutually beneficial to you. Yes, but it's like those are the relationships that turn into really close friendships, because you're on the same journey of entrepreneurship with this other person. And so you get to share a lot of the same struggles and wins. And we're also going to be talking about the evolution of an offer, which I know I've talked to some of you folks about, moving from, basically when you start an online business and you're doing done for you, or, we don't need to get super in depth with that right now, but basically how you will evolve as an entrepreneur from someone who's just here learning, running an online business, and watching that evolve over time, which we are going to talk about on Friday. I know we have beaten this horse to death, but the importance of case studies and testimonials and how to acquire them. So I'm going to be sending you guys, conveniently, I'm going to be sending you guys an email with a script that you can use, and basically use that script in your own business, asking people to provide feedback about like services or help that you've provided them. And again, on Friday, we're really going to talk about the importance of having that long-term vision for your business and how you can use customers' vision to sell your own. And that will make more sense on Friday when we go through that. Alrighty. So what are long-term assets? So just like what we were what I was just touching on, those are assets that you build over time that are going to be useful for years to come. And are going to allow you to reach more people and scale without doing a ton more work. And so what that looks like, just kind of in a bullet point format, is a long-term community. So a community is basically where you can take earned traffic. So think of places like TikTok and Instagram, where you're building up this community, getting a lot of eyes on your content, and then turning it from earned traffic, meaning you have to keep putting out content every day in order to keep churning that traffic up, and move that to owned traffic by getting them to a community like Facebook. If you have heard of Discord, that's another place where you can build a community. And it really just depends on who the demographic is that you're trying to reach and where they hang out. Young kids, like kids in their 20s, I say kids, adults in their 20s, and, people in the 18 to 25 range, they're very familiar and comfortable with Discord. So just be aware that if you're trying to reach that demographic, that's more where they live versus Facebook, which is kind of that place for, I don't want to say the older crowd, but the 25 and up crowd. Also your email list. Like your email list, you can leverage your Facebook group and people coming into your Facebook group, automating that email capture process and sending that to your email autoresponder, to continue building your email list. The idea of building like your community and also having an email sequence on the back end is like you're really hammering this group of people with value. So you're hitting them in the Facebook group. They're gonna see your content on TikTok, on YouTube. You're also going to be sending them an email sequence or broadcast emails. And that's going to continue to just inundate that person with value. Long-term assets also include YouTube content. So you can, just like we talked about last week, you can take your Facebook Live content and turn it into that evergreen or that long-term content by uploading it to YouTube. You can also originate content on YouTube, and we're going to talk about a couple different ways to do that. But basically, you're just continuing to build out that library, which is going to serve you in helping your audience in your Facebook group and on YouTube and other platforms. But it's also going to help you establish credibility and authority when people go and see you have a YouTube channel and have, 100 videos over the course of a couple years. Digital assets like PDFs, ebooks, think of lead magnets that you've created. That's the kind of stuff that falls into that category. And we're going to talk about selling before you create in just a sec, so that you're not going out of your way to put together digital assets that nobody actually wants. If you have a course or like course material, like I have my free course, that's all that is. Your CRM, which is your customer relationship management tool. We're going to talk more about that. And of course, case studies and testimonials. That's the lifeblood of your business, because it provides social proof and provides proof that you can deliver on the transformation that you're promising to your customers or potential customers. In terms of building out your Facebook community as a long-term asset, just like we talked about in week 2. So you're providing content, you're creating high value content for folks at each stage of the buyer's journey. So people who are at the attention stage, interest, intent, which is like that limbo stage between interest and decision. And then down at the bottom is action, where people are making the decision to make a purchase with you. But there are different types of content, different calls to action that you want to include at different stages of that journey. So I just wanted to remind you, and you can take a look back at that week 2 material if you need a refresher. But the way that you nurture leads within your group, number 1, provide high value content. That's always going to be the case. Whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on TikTok, high value content is going to mean something different on different platforms, but that's always the answer to every question. Provide value, and you can provide that value through doing Facebook Live training. And again, we talked about that in a previous week, but figure out what your audience needs, that feedback loop, asking them questions, soliciting info from them about what they need and what would be helpful for them. You could do that through polls, Q&A posts. You could do live Q&As, engagement posts. What I mean by that, and you'll sometimes see these in my Quit the 9 to 5 grind group, but people love to talk about themselves and they love to feel like they're important. I think that's true of all people. And so, for example, asking your group to post pictures of their pets. Like I did that once and it had like hundreds of comments. People love talking about their pets. I'm the first one. Susan, I know I responded to your Q&A in your group, posting pictures of my 3 cats. I'm obsessed. I'm a cat lady, as we all are aware. But engagement posts can also be something like, if you could go back in time and tell your 18-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be? That's another like really thought-provoking, engaging post. It doesn't necessarily have to be about business or affiliate marketing or personal brand or whatever. It's just something to build that community and stir the pot, and allow people to kind of get to know each other and make connections with each other. And then also text and image posts. You can also, again, take videos from YouTube and share those videos in your Facebook group. So if you have, I'll actually show you an example of a live interview that I did in my friend Thad's group, which obviously benefits him because it's providing high value content in his group. But then I got the recording from that, and now it's on my long-term asset list on YouTube. Also using your DM sequence to nurture leads within your group. So again, making sure you're hitting everyone with DMs. I know can sound tedious or feel tedious or like you're bothering people, but you're not. If they're your target audience and if they're truly interested in what it is that you have to offer, it's going to be staying top of mind and providing them with, like, inundating them with value that's going to be super beneficial to you both. The other thing I wanted to mention is if someone, especially when your group is new, oh my gosh, if your Facebook group is still in its like beginning stages and you post something, any person who engages with your post, whether they're liking it or leaving a comment, just showing they exist in your group, send them a DM, offer value, offer help. It's going to make them feel special. I'm not saying, send them 10 DMs in a day for every time they like something and say, hey, I just saw you like this post. But just say, hey, I really appreciate that you're super engaged in the group. I saw you left a comment about, I don't know, making a TikTok account or whatever the comment is, but addressing it. And so they see that they are seen, heard, and understood, and that you are putting time in to help that person. That's going to go a really long way. So in as much as you can do that when your group is new, especially, anybody who comments, anybody who likes, anybody who posts, obviously, make sure you follow up with them via a personalized DM. Another part of maintaining the long-term asset that is your Facebook group is upholding the tone and the culture of your group. So what I mean by that is think back to your mission statement. Think back to like the personality and the tone and the values that you want to convey that are important to you and your brand. You want to uphold that from the top of funnel content, meaning the stuff you're posting on TikTok and Instagram, that stuff that's grabbing people's attention and getting them over to your Facebook community. You want that to be congruent from the TikTok content all the way down to your Facebook group and people who are making purchases from you. Meaning, like, if it's important to you that you have respect for everyone and you don't engage with trolls, or you don't go back and forth with people like that, and you just try to remain really civil because that professionalism and decorum is important for you. But then when people come into your Facebook group, it's just like the Wild West with people like getting really aggressive with each other. That's not going to send the right message, because there's a lack of congruency between your content on TikTok and your personality and tone on TikTok of your brand. And that of the folks in your Facebook group. So you have to remember that kind of tone setting comes from the top, comes from you. And so if you have like a no lurking policy, a no spam policy, or you just want people to treat each other with a certain kind of encouragement or respect or whatever the case is, that starts with you. And that means you uphold it. If you see someone acting a certain way, it's your prerogative if you want to give them a second chance or if you just want to chop them and kick them out of your group. Alrighty, your email list. So I think your email list it's probably as important as the folks in your Facebook group. Obviously, you're going to take those folks in your Facebook group and convert them to email subscribers. So they're kind of intertwined, but here's how you can grow and nurture your email list. Number one, give people a reason to subscribe. Like, don't expect that just because you have a call to action in your content, that's enough reason for them. Something that I heard months ago, and I thought that was really interesting and thought-provoking, is tell people what they should do and why they should do it, but also what the consequence of not doing it is. And I am not saying make up something horrible that's going to happen to that person, but you could say, hey, come start learning about affiliate marketing, like start your side hustle, start your online business. Affiliate marketing is not going anywhere, but the longer you wait, the more money you're leaving on the table and the longer it's going to take you to reach your financial goal. Do you know what I mean? So it's not a false FOMO type of a thing. It's a genuine, like, affiliate marketing is not going anywhere. Online business isn't going anywhere, but you waiting is just prolonging the suffering that you're feeling, the pain points that you're feeling in your life. Again, capturing your Facebook group leads, converting that earned traffic to owned traffic, meaning capture those people who are following you on TikTok, turning them into your email list. That's like a must do, because knock on wood, heaven forbid, your social media accounts get shut down. You're still going to have that email list that you can like fall back on, rely on, and rebuild with. Again, providing content for leads at each stage of the buyer's journey. We're not going to rehash that whole thing, but your email sequence should be geared to moving leads through the funnel, from attention to interest, all the way down to the point where they're making a decision to make a purchase from you. Kind of a tip or a hint, I guess, something that I have done is solicit feedback from leads via email. So you can send a broadcast email and say, hey, what do you need help with? Like, what are you stuck on? What's keeping you stuck and not getting started and starting your online business? Or what's keeping you from creating content? Number one, that's going to help you develop rapport with the folks on your list and show them you actually care. You're not trying to sell them anything. You're not trying to beat them over the head with buy this thing all the time, but you're actually genuinely interested in them. It's going to build know, like, and trust, establish your credibility and authority. But a fun, like, backdoor benefit is it's going to improve your email deliverability, because when you send a broadcast email and then folks respond, it's basically telling the email provider, hey, we're friends, like, deliver this to their inbox because they're expecting this. So just something to, I guess, keep in your back pocket, is that's how you can improve your email deliverability, is sending something to your email list that's going to prompt them to want to respond. Like, hey, what do you need help with? And then they'll actually respond. And it's like a win-win situation for everyone. You can also use your email sequence to cross-promote with other long-term assets. That's YouTube, free course, digital assets, case studies, and testimonials. Basically, you're just showing whoever you are speaking to via email, again, that you are that credible authority and that being associated with you is going to benefit that person. I know a lot of people are intimidated by it or afraid of it. The only way to get through that is to make content, put it on YouTube. So I know I kind of alluded to different ways that you can create YouTube content. Obviously, if you have a Facebook Live video, you can download that from your Facebook group, upload it to your YouTube channel. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's pretty easy. If you do video interviews, like the one I'm going to show you with my buddy Thad, that could be done like standalone, like on a Zoom call, or that could be done again in a Facebook group, but they can provide you with that recording, and you can, and you should absolutely upload that to your YouTube channel. Anytime you get interviewed, anytime you're part of like a panel, anytime you are having some kind of like high level or like niche related conversation with one person or a group of folks, and you can use that to say, hey, look, I know what I'm talking about, and this is why you should listen to me. Anytime you can repurpose that kind of content that didn't originate on YouTube, whether it's Facebook or Zoom or wherever, like, kill two birds with one stone. You don't have to just do that live and then it dies, after the hour that you did that live. It doesn't need to just go away. Like, utilize that for years to come. And it's also going to be fun for you in a year or 2 years to look back at the early content that you created and cringe, but also laugh, because we all start with cringy content, myself very, very included. For those of you who really want to overcome your fear of creating content on YouTube, you can actually go live on YouTube. And I know that sounds terrifying, perhaps, but you can use YouTube and Facebook to cross promote. So let's say I'm like 500 hours away from getting monetized on my YouTube account, on my YouTube channel. I can create a really high value event that a lot of people are going to be interested in going to and do it as a YouTube live. And I can invite everybody from my email list. I can invite everybody from my Facebook group and say, hey guys, come subscribe to my YouTube channel. So number one, it's going to get me more subscribers. Number two, come watch this live event that I'm doing on YouTube. I'm going to be showing you how to set up an entire affiliate marketing business in an hour. So if you have any questions, you'll be able to ask them at the end of that live. You're going to watch that whole process from beginning to end. And it's going to make complete sense because I'm going to show you every single step in order what you need to do. Like, doesn't that sound like a pretty big draw? Like, don't you think a lot of folks would want to come to that? And I've done that in the past. You can absolutely drive tons of traffic that way. Bring them over to your YouTube channel and really strengthen your YouTube channel. Again, showing off that you have this expertise, the knowledge and these skills. And what I have found is that on YouTube, people will also give you a ton of leeway because you're doing it live. And it's a much more intimate experience versus if you're creating a video from scratch and have to do all the editing and all the polishing and that type of a thing. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Obviously, going live on YouTube poses some different kind of challenges than being able to edit a video and make it really polished and produced, but it's also an option. So if you don't want to have to do all the polishing and the producing, you can get prepared and really prepared to do a YouTube live. And it's actually a pretty fantastic process. And lastly, you can produce that high quality content where you have like really nice thumbnail, you're using some editing software, maybe you have an intro and an outro. And that's obviously something that you do want to move toward. It doesn't need to be on day one, but it is something that will help you get more views and more engagement and build your community on YouTube because that's higher quality content.
Barb?
Yes.
Got a question for you. With going live on YouTube, is it only going to be your subscribers that sees the lives? Would there be any chance of anyone outside of subscribers, would they be able to see it? Because right now I created my YouTube channel, but no one's there. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm trying to see who would be able to see it.
So YouTube will show that you're going live to other people. If it's kind of like going live on TikTok, you can scroll through your For You page and come across people going live, even though you don't follow them. It's kind of like that. If your account's like super small, it may show the live on someone's feed, but they might not decide to jump in there. It just depends on a number of things, but yeah, you can always give it a shot. And the worst case scenario is you do a live and no one shows up, which I've absolutely done that before on YouTube. You do a live and nobody shows up. But the great thing is, number one, that live content, it still exists on your YouTube channel that people can rewatch. And so it's still going to contribute to your overall like long-term assets and watch hours and subscribers and that type of a thing. And again, because it's like a live replay, people are so much more willing to forgive pauses or ums or ahs because it's a replay of a live. And you can make that very clear when you post the video so that it's not just like, oh, why is this chick, like, why is she pausing so much? Or why isn't it this perfect? You know? Plus you get to see people in their like natural state, talk about build, know, like, and trust. You get to see people maybe a little bit frazzled or maybe a little bit nervous or whatever the case is, but it's very endearing to watch somebody live and giving it their all versus somebody who it just seems like very closed off and aloof because you never get to see them in action. You know what I mean? That's just my personal opinion. Alrighty. Yeah, that's a great question. Does anyone else have any questions before we keep plugging along? Are y'all still awake? All right. So one thing I just want to talk about with like digital assets. So again, that's PDFs, ebooks. when you're creating any kind of digital asset where it's going to include, or it's going to it's going to mean that you have to put some work into it. What I always say, and what everything that I have learned, is sell before you create. And I put sell in quotes because even if you are not selling something for money, you're still selling it to the audience in your Facebook group or on your email list or whatever. So what I suggest doing is before you go through the trouble of creating a digital asset like an ebook or a PDF or a cheat sheet or a checklist or whatever, pull the people in your Facebook group, create a post. You know how I always create the purple background post in our group and I say, hey, there's a call starting right now. Create a post like that and say, hey, if I create a TikTok account setup checklist, who would want it? And then have the little hand raise emoji gal or guy, and then put like arrows or the finger pointing down to indicate like this comment, that kind of a thing. And see if people react, see if people engage. And if they're interested, they'll be like, heck yes, love this post. I am so interested. Please let me know when you have it. Or it'll be crickets. And if it's crickets, it doesn't mean you're dumb or anything like that. It means you're smart because you didn't go through the trouble to create this whole digital asset when nobody wants it. You know what I mean? And so you can then just go back to the drawing board and ask your audience, okay, what would be helpful to you? Like what would be the number one checklist that you wish you had? Just ask them, So that's all I wanted to say about that is definitely sell before you create. The last thing you want to do is go through and spend hours or days or weeks working on something that your audience is actually not going to resonate with. All right. And I will just say this about my CRM and CRMs in general. So again, a CRM is a customer relationship management tool or tracker, if you will. I use Pipedrive. We don't need to look at that right now. It's not super relevant to most of you at this point in your business. But I just wanted to point this out. I wanted to make you aware of it, that this is something I wish I would have started using sooner. But basically what this does is it's like a systematic tool or software that will allow you to track each lead that you have had a conversation with. So, number one, all the details about them. You can make copious notes in this in a CRM. So you can be like, oh, they were talking about wanting to go visit Mexico with their sister. And that's such a big reason why they want to start an online business is to be able to travel with their family. You can put that kind of level of detail in there, but you also know exactly where they are in terms of your funnel or sales process. So it's not the most pressing need that you have for most of you at this point, because if you have a conversation with someone, you're probably going to remember it. But when you guys get to the point of having 10,000 people in your Facebook group and 10,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel, and you have calls constantly and people asking you for help constantly, and you're just chatting people up all the time, John, Bob, and Sue, they're all those conversations are going to mix together. And so you want to make sure that you have something systematic in place that's going to allow you to keep organized and keep everybody's information all in one place. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to raise awareness about that. And if you guys are interested in stuff related to CRMs, we can address that later on, or I can make a YouTube video about it. But yeah, I really just wanted to bring that to your awareness. All right. And like I've said, probably 100 times, the most important critical long-term assets for your business is testimonials and case studies. We're going to talk more about those on Friday and get more in depth with those. Again, I'm going to be sending you guys a script that you can send to people via email that will request a testimonial from them. And then one thing that I do want to say about case studies. So the difference between a testimonial, which is a screenshot of a DM conversation or a screenshot of a comment that somebody left saying, oh yeah, this has been the most helpful thing ever, or thank you for providing so much value about how to build a funnel, whatever the case is. Those types of things are testimonials. Or even when somebody creates like a 1 to 4 minute video talking about their experience in working with you and what that value looks like and that transformation looks like for them, that's a testimonial. No.
Okay. I didn't know. I mean, I don't know if somebody came back to you was like, Barb sucks. And I don't know.
No, honestly, I feel like it's like a relationship, right? Like if your partner goes out and like, oh man, that's not the best
talk shit about
if you get in some kind of relationship ending fight with your partner, it probably had that's not the first time that's been a problem or that's come up. Like that, there should have been plenty of opportunity to have that conversation with that person, like as you went, versus, oh, I thought things were great this whole time because I never asked you, you know? So like, I mean, it's not a ridiculous question at all. But no, I've never had like an experience where somebody's come back and been like, oh, actually this was garbage.
It's just my last job. We lived and died by our reviews, testimonials, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, like Google reviews or Yelp reviews. Yeah.
If we got a bad one, we went after it, like major. I mean, we did whatever it took to get them to change their mind. So
yeah. I know a lot of businesses are like that. When I used to work at Borders Bookstore, may it rest in peace, we had like those customer service, like the receipts that would print out afterwards, you know, and we'd be like, I still remember the script that I implemented with my store. Like, oh, looks like you received our 5-star survey, and like go through the whole thing about basically getting them to commit to filling out this survey online. And when you return, you'll get a 15% off coupon. Thanks. And have a 5-star day. Facts, you guys. Like, anyway, but especially when you're not like a nameless, faceless business like Borders or Blockbuster or any of the other places that I worked at that went out of business, when it's something that you're your own brand, right? Like that's the thing about being a personal brand is like a positive review speaks volumes. Like it says so much about you as a person. And so that it's like more personal than like somebody reviewing a corporation. You know what I mean? And so it's absolutely critical that you start collecting this stuff and like keeping it somewhere because you're going to use it in the future. What I started to say about a case study is a case study. Think of that as like a little bit longer, maybe 20, 30 minute, like interview type of style where you get to go really in depth with someone. And maybe you choose that person to do a case study on because they had some really significant result that impacted them because they worked with you. So let's say I started working with Chad and he had 4 high ticket sales in a month. I would want to bring Chad into like a case study scenario, and that would probably be on Zoom, but where I'm interviewing him and asking him questions like more in depth. So where were you before we started working together? Like what had you tried? What wasn't working? Why do you think it wasn't working? What made you seek me out? What was the transformation like once we started working together? What were the results that you got? How did you get those results? So really like more questions, more in depth, and really kind of highlighting his experience in working with me. And again, that's going to be like if somebody gets like fantastic results and you really want to highlight that and go more in depth, then that's the difference between a case study, which is that more in-depth interview, and a testimonial, which is shorter or can be just like a screenshot or a snippet. Alrighty. So if y'all aren't already aware of the distinction between inbound leads and outbound, it's very easy to figure it out. Inbound leads are the folks that come to you. So those are the ones who are requesting to join your Facebook group, who are sending you messages. Outbound leads are those which you target specifically and reach out to based on demographic or psychographic similarities to your avatar. So that's a whole lot of words to say. Basically, look for people that you think might be interested in being in your community and try to get them into your community. You know, that could be Facebook groups. That could be doing outreach, like outbound messages on TikTok and Instagram. and you definitely want to test different outbound messages before you outsource it to like a VA. So you want to find the best messaging that gets the best result. The more people saying, yes, I want to join your community. And kind of the rule of thumb is have your message be 20% personal, 80% automated. And what I mean by that is, I'm sure you have all been inundated with messages from people on Facebook where it's like very clear that it's just a copy and paste kind of message. Like, hey there, I see we're both in similar groups, like, that whole thing. And it irks my whole soul. Like, put some effort into it. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're going out on a date, if you see someone you're interested in, wouldn't you go up to them and be like, hey, I know this is really forward, but I just think that you have beautiful eyes and I really like your smile, and, whatever the compliment is, like something genuine though, because then it's going to be like, oh, I'm special. I'm not just some other chick on your list to go try to get a date from, so that 20% personal could be like, oh, hey, Sheila, I love the video you posted of your dog, or I love the affiliate marketing video that you just posted. It's so important to make like original content. And I just love seeing that from other women on TikTok, whatever, but have that genuine compliment or showing that I'm genuinely watching her content, genuinely interested in what she's doing. You don't want it to be disingenuous or trite. Like, hey girl, I love strong, empowered women on TikTok. What if they just posted a video about how they don't feel strong and empowered? Like, put some effort into it. But that's like the 20% that's like personalized, so like use their name, make some genuine compliment about their content or something about them or their content that lets them know that you're not just copying and pasting the same message over and over. However, the other 80% is fine to copy and paste that message, like, hey, blah, 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 20% personalized. I think you'd be a great fit in my community of entrepreneurs. Is it okay if I send you the link to my Facebook group? I'd love to have you. And you can just take that message after you give them the first message. That's like the 20% really personalized. Hey, Sheila, I love the post you just talked about motivation. Like, that really resonated with me. And then send them a second message that says is it okay if I send the link back to my Facebook group? I think you'd really fit in well there, yada, yada, that whole thing. And the reason for like that 80-20 split is because you do want it personalized so that you don't sound like a scammer or a spammer, but have it mostly copy and paste so that you're not having to reinvent the wheel every single time that you reach out to someone. And also when you get to the point where you're automating this process, human automation through hiring a VA, it's going to cut down on the confusion for that person because they're just going to be using a template or a script versus trying to come up with something different each and every time. Oh, community building and networking. So I know community building in your Facebook group, we've been talking about this a ton. Network with others in your niche or adjacent niches to increase your own authority and perceived value. There's like a bazillion ways that you can do this. And I think where it even starts is just being on TikTok, being in people's communities before yours is huge, before you have a huge TikTok following. And I remember doing this when I was first on TikTok. I was so excited about this new journey I was on. I was seeing all these people. I was like, oh my gosh, I know that person from like the Legendary Marketer Facebook group because we started around the same time. So I would go follow them on TikTok. I would leave comments like, hey girl, you're killing it, queen, like whatever, and it was just so much fun. And those are the people like my buddy Thad that I was just talking about being in his group for an interview. He and I started with Legendary Marketer around the same time. And so now it's been about a year and it's just wild to think back to when we were both like babies in this, entrepreneurial journey, but really like inserting yourself into people's like spheres, so to speak, like leaving comments, like genuine comments on people's TikToks, reaching out to people in DM, like with, again, genuine compliments about, I sent this DM to somebody a while back, literally just because I truly felt this way. But I said, hey girl, I just wanted to let you know, in case nobody has told you, like, you're a breath of fresh air every time I see on my For You page, because your content is always original. And I just get to see you. Like, I feel like I know you through your content. And I just love it. So that's all I wanted to say. And she was just so touched. And it was like this very bonding and special moment. And like, just doing that, like, again, not doing it for any not for any selfish gain, but really just to be able to connect and network with people. That's how you get to know people, you know? You can also, if you guys are not familiar with Discord or Telegram, don't worry about it. It's basically just where you could create a little community, like a little group chat, and there's an app on your phone, and you could also do it on your desktop, but you can have a community where it's like women in affiliate marketing, you know, and just get a bunch of gals in there like, hey, this is a place where we help and support, and we can come in here and vent if we need to, but also where we can like help each other along this journey. Like, wouldn't that be fun?
Like a support group.
Yeah, like a support group. Wouldn't that be so fun though? Like, you can go in there and be like, hey gals, like, I'm going live, would love to have your support. Or does anybody want to go live together?
Yeah.
Or, hey, did anybody notice this is happening with ClickFunnels, or whatever the case is? But like being able to connect with people in real time like that, that's so important, you know, and being able to bounce ideas off each other, maybe getting on a call every couple of weeks and talking about your goals or things you're struggling with, having accountability, like that kind of stuff is so important. And it's like a place where if you're in a position where you only have like 5,000 followers on TikTok, but you want to get to know some people who maybe are further along on their journey, coordinate something where it's like, hey, I want to get a call together, and this is the value that I'm going to provide. Like, this is I'm organizing this. I'm going to record it. I will edit it and chop it up so that you can use it to like showcase your thought leadership and your authority. You know what I mean? That's how you give back to people so that they'll do you a favor. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's just a way that you can ingratiate yourself with people in your niche, or even in kind of neighboring niches. But again, just kind of getting your name out there and getting known as like an authority and a thought leader in your space. You could organize mastermind calls on Zoom and record them. And again, always with the eye on creating that long-term asset. Interviews in Facebook groups. You can easily say, hey, would you be willing to come into my Facebook group? Again, I will edit the video and provide it to you right after the call. I would love to have you in there providing value. You're developing that relationship with that person. And also you can say, hey, also, I recently put together just kind of like a really short presentation on how to explode your growth on TikTok without producing viral content. So if you ever want me to come into your group and just like add value, I'm happy to do that. And 9 times out of 10, that person's gonna be like, heck yes. I would also add the caveat that like, if you come in with that request and you're like, hey, do you want to like come into my Facebook group or something? Like, that's going to have way less impact than if you're like, hey, come into my Facebook group. I would love to have you. I think my audience is going to like just explode with excitement over what you have to say and who you are, because I think we're really in line with like our personal brands. And anytime you want me to come in your group and just drop some value about building a community, or, you know, whatever the topic that you want to discuss or that you're willing to provide value on, like have that authority in your request to that person. Like practice it in the mirror if you have to, or practice it with your homies on this call, whatever the case. But like, that's where authority begins, is like how you talk to other people, you know? And this is one that's near and dear to my heart. TikTok and Instagram dual lives. I know there's some people on here, Chad, who else? Lydia, Susan. We are remiss for not having gone live together. But like, I've gone live with people, like literally no strings attached. I'm not trying to get anything out of them. I'm just trying to like connect to other people because it's fun, because I love getting to know people. And that's how you develop bonds with each other, where like they might know someone that knows someone, that having that connection is going to benefit the both of you. Do you know what I mean? So really networking in a meaningful way by just offering free value, just in the same way that you attract leads or you get people to watch your content, offering value, like, hey, let's go live together. I want to interview you. Like, it's so much easier to go live with 2 people than it is to go live with 1 person, especially when you're first starting, you feel a little bit nervous. Go live together. So just like as if you're attracting leads, lead with value when you're reaching out to other creators, other personal brands, other affiliate marketers, whoever. Always think of it as like, what will the other person get out of this? Like if you're basically just asking someone, hey, will you give me an hour of your time? It's not the most attractive or appealing request. But if you're like, hey, I would love to interview you, it's going to raise your profile because you get to talk about your knowledge and expertise, but also I get to be associated with you. Like that's a win-win for us both, you know? Again, offer to share valuable information. If you come up with a 15-minute presentation that helps educate somebody else's audience so they don't have to do it, they'll be like, yes, I want that. You know, it raises both of your profiles. It provides value to their audience and gets your name out there and your brand out there. Think of it as mutual back scratching. So it doesn't have to be that's one thing I love about online business and affiliate marketing as a business model is you can have it be a win-win-win situation. It doesn't need to be like, oh, I'm just trying to like get this person to say yes so that I get something out of it. It's literally like you both benefit and you can sleep at night knowing that you're not screwing anyone over. You're not doing anything shady. It's really, truly like a win-win situation. Alrighty. And this is the last time for today that I will go on and on about case studies and testimonials and why they're important. They show that you can help deliver value and provide a transformation. You can leverage them for forever, for years to come. Even if you are afraid, like, I don't know anything, or I don't have anything to sell, or whatever the case is, like, you can provide free value for case studies and testimonials. That's why discovery calls are so valuable, not just for the person receiving the call, but you as well. So anytime you're providing free value to someone, just always ask them, hey, would you be willing to record like a 15-second, 30-second video, just like a testimonial about us having this call? It'd be really helpful for me and also will help me better serve clients in the future.